Let's bring in Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky, Democrat from Illinois. Thank you so much. I know you sit on the House Energy Committee. We're so grateful you've made time for us this morning on Morning in America.
Happy to be with you. Thank you, Adrienne.
I know we have a lot of tough things to consider in regards to how this war in Ukraine affects the global economy, affects the American economy. I know Congress also passing a bill to ban imports of oil and gas from Russia. Do you think this is going to be a major wake-up call for the Kremlin and Putin?
Well, we certainly hope so. They're the third largest producers of oil, and the fact that this supply has been, and their ability to sell it, has been largely cut off. We hope will be one of the economic sanctions that will make a difference and hopefully will be able to stop the atrocities that you've just been talking about.
Yeah, we've been talking about how the Biden administration is issuing new sanctions, not only with oil and gas, but also Russia happens to be one of the largest exporters of diamonds. So they've sanctioned the largest diamond company there in Russia. Is there any word on what Russia might be thinking about doing or be doing to retaliate?
Well, we are hearing about some of the cyber attacks that they are engaged in. But, the fact that they are stopping their move to Kyiv, I think it's clear that this is not going well for Vladimir Putin, and hopefully they will decide that ending this war is a better option for them. But so far, we haven't seen that.
When it comes to oil, I mean, with the sanctions, is there concern that some hostile regimes like Iran and Saudi Arabia could start filling the void?
Well, look, what we're looking at right now, this committee that I have that talked about gouging at the gas pump, is that there are other people to blame, and that includes the U.S. oil companies who made a decision rather than to release more oil, to instead have raise their profits. We saw in our hearing where we had some of the six large oil companies, that just those six companies last year made over $76 billion in profits, whereas they could have released more gas to lower the price at the pump. It's no wonder that about 80% of Americans think that the real cause in the United States is price gouging. They made this decision instead to do stock buybacks, to raise the salaries of their top CEOs, so instead of saying let's produce more gas, the president of the international CEO of BP said that they were just making all kinds of money, that the cash, they're like a cash machine as long as the price of gas is so high right now.
But I think a lot of the oil executives, and I know exactly what you're talking about, them appearing on Capitol Hill, are saying it's not their fault. That many of them are saying their hands are tied because of restrictions due to Democratic-backed initiatives for climate control or for making sure that we keep our environment as safe and sound as possible. What is your response to that?
Actually, that's not the case. What we heard from these oil companies, the biggest ones, was that they are themselves making investments in clean energy. I was sort of surprised to hear that. They were not making the excuse that it was because we were tying their hands. They were saying that they're on the same team when it comes to the need, but in the meantime that we need oil. But I asked them, why is it when you're making these kinds of record profits, are the American taxpayers still being asked to provide subsidies to your companies, not for the clean energy, but for your oil? And they didn't really have a good answer to that.
Let's change topics here. I know that we have a historic day today with the confirmation of Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson to the U.S. Supreme Court. What are your thoughts?
It was quite a day when the first African American, the first woman of color as vice president, announced the confirmation of the first Black woman ever in the history of the United States to be on the Supreme Court of the United States. So I think there was cheering all around the world, and it was really wonderful to see the embrace that they had, the President of the United States, who promised to do this and did, to make that appointment, and this wonderful new justice who will take her place on the court at the end of the summer.
Yes, and she's going to be hearing some big cases when she starts and takes the seat vacated by Justice Breyer. Congresswoman Schakowsky, thank you very much for the conversation. We really appreciate it, and have a great weekend.
You too, Adrienne. Thank you.
Thank you. And speaking of thank you so much for watching. Make sure to click on the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.